Hello, and welcome back to episode 13 of By Night. I said welcome back, not welcome. Oh well. We messing the intros up regularly, apparently. But welcome to episode 13 of By Night, and you join me in Trafalgar Square. I think this is the first time we've actually started an episode from here. Probably not the last, but we'll see. I'm talking quite quickly, because my bus goes in like 3.5 minutes. I'm starting the night on the N15, which we're going to be doing all the way up to Romford, and spending the rest of the morning in East London. Now, I'm not at my regular Trafalgar Square filming point because they're setting up for Pride, which is happening as you're watching this probably. Crossing a road, not dying, very nice. Yeah, so yeah, Pride. First of all, I'm in it. I will be walking in the Pride Parade this year, which is very fun. Again, as you're watching this, I'm probably doing just that. So, very excited, very fun. But the general plan for tonight is we're going to get the N15 out to Romford, head down to Stratford on the N86, then up to Chingford Mount on the 158, and then back down to Trafalgar Square again on the N26, before finishing off by heading north on the N91 all the way up to Cockfosters. So, I think without further ado, I'm anxious about where my bus is, because, yeah, it's due soon. But, yeah, I mean, a little bit before we get started, I could have done the N15 for the second episode of the series where I did some of the most frequent routes in the night bus network. I completely forgot that the N15 ran every 10 minutes all week. I don't know how I omitted that. The N15 is a really long route. Of course it would run that frequently. You know, it runs all the way out to Romford, which is right on the edge of Greater London. It's a theme with a lot of these night buses. Because there's so little traffic at night, they can run them really far out. So, yeah. Gonna get my Oyster card. And yeah, so my bus should be just around the corner, so I'll see you on board the N15. And now you join me from a very busy LT916, operated by Go Ahead London's Blue Triangle division, that you may have noticed in the clip where I got on, is not wearing the standard red London livery. It's wearing a livery for a network of routes out east called East London Transit, that were envisaged to be kind of like a busway network in East London, and it really didn't get as far as TfL wanted. The East London Transit network was a bit of a flop. Anywho, enough about the bus. The N15 is one of the
is an absolute staple of the night bus network. During the week, it runs every 10 minutes. I'm editing this on a Friday night so I can see the weekend timetable in front of me, and it runs every 8 to 9 minutes on a weekend, which, for the full thing out to Romford, that's an even better level of service than the N18, which I thought was the most, the N18 is still technically more frequent, but the N15 maintains an almost as good frequency right out to the suburbs. So, this is one of London's flagship night services. That does not mean it's impervious to. It does not mean that it's immune to problems, as we will see later. But the N15 is a massive extension from its daytime counterpart, which runs from Trafalgar Square to Blackwall. First, it's got a short extension from Trafalgar Square up to Oxford Circus, and then it has another extension out from Blackwall all the way out to Romford, which means that it's even on night timings, its extension is some 35-40 minutes of runtime, in each direction of course. So this route is very long, and well, it needs to be, because Romford's a very major suburb, so it needs its connection into central London overnight, just as Harrow does out west. So, I think, with that said, let's get back to the B-roll.
So the stellar luck that has defined the By Night series for multiple episodes, not necessarily consecutively, but you know what I'm talking about. My absolutely brilliant luck with this, with the night buses in London, has struck once again, I should say, this time in the most spectacular fashion. I have been dumped in Beckendry Heath. That N15 LT916 arrived here at Beckendry Heath 31 minutes late. I remind you that this route runs every 10 minutes. So this bus was 3 buses behind where it was meant to be. And I honestly, I mean, I do kind of understand how it got to that point, because the run out of central London was so slow. It was just, such a drag. After Canning Town, things did pick up, as I expected they would. Getting into the suburbs, roads get faster, traffic, roads get quieter, there are less people about, generally. But yeah, we could not make up the time. We left Canning Town bus station, I want to say some 20 minutes late, and we just kept losing time. It was not good. Not good at all. The N15 needs a major timetable rework, because this is frankly not acceptable if this is something that happens regularly. Especially this is the first bus of the night I was on. You'd think that the first bus of the night should be running pretty fine, but apparently not. So I'm waiting on the next N15 to get me to Romford, and at this point I don't know if I'll be able to do the N91, but we'll see. So, after a mad dash on EH156, I have now made it to Romford, 34 minutes behind schedule, which is not good. Go ahead. That is not how you run a bus service. TfL, please do something about that. That's not good. But we're in Romford. Romford Station. Well, this is the Romford Station sort of interchange, and the station's like just over there. And there's a lot of buses that go here, but not a lot of 24-hour ones. I mean, that's sort of what happens when you get into the suburbs. There's a few, but there aren't really many. Although the 128 is 24-hour, which is very useful for me, because I thought I would be having to come back here just to do the 365, which would be very poor planning. But no, the 128 is 24-hour, so I will be coming back here, so I will have a way to do the 365 with something else, rather than doing the 365 and then getting onto a bus I've already done before. I can do the 128 and then get on a bus I've already done before. So yeah, we're going to get on the N86 now, which will take us down to Stratford, where we'll be getting on the 158 up to Chingford Mount, and then the N26 down to Trafalgar Square. And I'm pretty certain we won't be able to manage the N91, but again, we'll see. Next step, though, is to get the N86 over to Stratford, which hopefully will run on time. London's 82017, one of their right street deck electroliners,
N86, currently in Goodmays-ish. Chadwell Heath it would probably be. On the run into Stratford, and we're currently, I think, we left Romford 5 minutes late. I have no reason to assume we would be more or less late than that right now.
N86.
But the N86
Stratford.
is an extension of the daytime 86 from Romford out to Harold Hill.
St. Chad's Road.
The 86, the regular bit of the 86 is Stratford to Romford. It's just straight up along the Romford Road, following the 25 to Wilford, and then continuing up the Romford Road to, well, Romford. It's quite a self-explanatory route. It looks like a big stick on the map just going out east from Stratford. And then this just adds a little bit of a local thing at the far end. And it runs every half hour. Not a stupid high frequency like the N15, just a regular night bus. And really this route is quite quiet. This is about as busy as I've ever seen it, and I've used this route a few times now. So, yeah, it's a good connection. It's a very good connection, and actually on the bit that we're on now through Goodmays, the 86 and N86 are actually the only bus routes. Oh, I've just been made a liar of. What else do we have down here? The 62, 173 and 362. But there is a substantial portion of this route where this is the only route, and during the day the 86 is actually quite frequent, so I guess it makes sense.
Goodmays Road, Goodmays Station. New Road. Hainold Street. Woodgrange Park Station. Stratford Centre. Alight here for more wheels, Stratford.
So, I've now made it to Stratford. Behind me there is the bus station, and behind me there is the local legend himself, Robert. Robert is a little 060 saddle tank shunting locomotive that was used although it was used on I think a mining railway in Northamptonshire. There's a little plaque that says about the history of the locomotive. I always thought Robert was like a locomotive that used to work at the Stratford Locomotive Works, because they were a huge, sprawling complex, an absolute icon of the British railway network when they were in operation. The site that they used to occupy is now built on by parts of the Olympic Park, by Westfield, all the regeneration stuff that's happening over there. Also there is Stratford Station for the Jubilee Line, Central Line, Elizabeth Line, London Overground Mildmay Line, DLR, to Stratford International, Woolwich and Beckton, and Greater Anglia services to Essex and East Anglia. So, in what is apparently the theme for tonight, I've missed my connection from here. We got in 9 minutes late, and, well, I have to record my bit, so I have missed the 158 I was intended to catch, which means we will now no longer be doing the N91. There was a chance I could have made it had I made, well, in fact I would have made it, had I made that 158 that I had just missed. So either it would have been a 4-minute connection at Trafalgar Square, which, or a slightly more comfy connection at Aldwych, which I probably would have gone for Aldwych, given how tonight has gone. But Stratford bus station is a place that I have spent a lot of my life in. I grew up just down the road, a couple stops up the Central Line actually, in Leytonstone. And I lived in a fairly awkward part of Leytonstone, across the road from the Wanstead Flats. So the quickest way to get to Stratford was actually to get the 308, not to walk to the station and get the tube, because it was like a 15-20 minute walk to the tube station, and then you had to get the tube, whereas the 308 took 10 minutes. Back in those days it was run by First Capital, with some Dennis Dart Marshall Capitals. So yeah, a lot's changed. The 308 now runs with Evo Setties on the B5LH, and various other double-deckers. So yeah, 308's massively changed. Another one of my old local routes runs from here, the 257. That now runs with electrics, which when my mum found out, she was absolutely floored. And, I mean, crucially for tonight, the 158 runs from here, which will take us up to Chingford Mount. Not at 3:35, but at 4:05. There should be... Ooh, that's a big red light. There should be an N26 that we can get down into central London. And I suppose, now that we're not doing the N91, I can get 2 full routes in. Well, it was going to be 2 full routes anyway, but 2 full routes in back to back by doing the N26. Oh no, wait, no, never mind. Scratch that. No, it's only 1 full route, because the N26 starts at Chingford station. Ignore me. But what I was going to say is that we're going to do the N26 all the way down into Victoria, because from there I can get a bus to Willesden to get me towards home. So, almost the home stretch now, going to Chingford Mount to meet the N26. The whole area around Stratford station is huge. The bus station is over there. The tube station is back there, but also back there. There's an N25 going to Oxford Circus. The N25 seems to be running okay, but then again it is so frequent. But yeah, I've now got time to kill before my 158, so I'll see you on board.
large number of Wright's bus DB300 Wright Pulsar Gemini 2s. They aren't officially called Pulsar Gemini 2s, but they are basically Pulsar Gemini 2s. That is because the DB300 is a VDL design, just as the DB250, which powered the original Pulsar Geminis. But these aren't technically Pulsars because the DB300 in these was built by Wrightbus. It's a whole thing. But we're on the 158 now, which is a it's a very, very important commuter route into Stratford, from Chingford Mount through Leighton, Black Horse Road, Higham Hill, where we are now, and then up into Chingford Mount. This route intersects with the Superloop SL1 at the Crooked Billet interchange, which is probably going to be in the next bit of B-roll, or the one after. And yeah, it runs overnight as well, which is very handy. And new vehicle type for the series, the DB300. I love these things. And the DW type generally, going back to the Pulsar 1, they, if you lived on a Riva London's network, you probably know these. And they're still going strong. They've probably got a few years left in them as well, because I think there are some 63 plates of these, which are probably among the last Gemini 2s built. But anywho, the 158.
Walthamstow Stadium.
And now I've made it to Chingford Mount, a place that I don't think I've ever been before. And I have to say, it's quite a charming little town centre. There's a war memorial behind me, very nice. There's a few little shops, fast food places. There's a Wenzel's. I like a Wenzel's. If you don't know what Wenzel's are, they're like London Greggs. And yeah, it's just little shops. It's a nice little suburban town centre sort of thing. Nice little setup they have going on here. And in a breach of the theme of this episode, we were actually 2 minutes early. Thanks to some quite spirited driving through Highams Hill and the road up from Crooked Billet. Crooked Billet? Yeah, Crooked Billet. So I now have 11 minutes instead of 9 to walk down to where the N26 goes, to get the N26 down to Victoria. I think I'm going to go this way. I'd planned to go to the stop that way at Hall Lane, because it was closer, but seeing as I have so much time, why don't we go this way? Why don't we go the other way and go to the stop before? Because that way we get to go through the town centre again, and that's fun. I can get that on the B-roll, probably, hopefully. So yeah, final bus of the episode, even though I was not intending for that to be the case. It's time to get on the N26 to Victoria. Stagecoach London 12510 on the N26, just coming through the City of London. Now, the N26 is naturally the overnight version of the 26, which runs from Hackney Wick through to Victoria. The N26 extends that all the way up to Chingford via Leighton, Walthamstow, and Chingford Mount, where we got off. So we're just coming down. What road is this? What is this road called? I don't actually know. Oh, it's Cheapside. Should have guessed that. I was about to say Cheapside as well. Yes, it's been a very smooth, very quick run. The last two buses have thankfully broken the trend of this morning by running fairly well. I actually don't know how we're doing for time because I don't particularly care that we're at the end of the night. But I assume we must be doing relatively well because it doesn't feel like it's been slow. But anyhow, we've got the little bit at the West End to go through Aldwych and Trafalgar Square, and then I actually don't know how this thing goes between Trafalgar Square and Victoria, so we will find out.
To Victoria. St. Paul's Cathedral. To Victoria. Aldwych, Rory Lane. Whitehall, Trafalgar Square. N26 to Victoria. Westminster City Hall. Westminster Cathedral, Victoria Station.
So, I have now made it to London Victoria Station, the end of the N26, the end of a whole bunch of services and the midpoint of even more, but also the end of our morning out on the night buses. So all that's left for me to do is to go home. But you know, a quick recap. We started off on the N15, which looked like it was going to do all right, and then we got later and later and later through central London, and couldn't make the time back at any point by the time we got out into the suburbs, and we ended up half an hour late on that one, getting curtailed to Becontree Heath. Not fun. Frankly embarrassing. It's a night bus. What traffic is it contending with? and then, you know, onto the rescue bus, such as it was, which made up a bit of its own time. I think it was also running late, but I'm still not sure what service that rescue bus actually was, because it wasn't the one behind. The one behind must have gotten curtailed even earlier. But you know, that's small quandaries. Small quandaries, is that even a word? Is that even a... I swear that is a word, but I don't know if it's anyway. Into Romford, onto the N86, which also not great. Left Romford 5 minutes late, which would have been manageable had it not lost even more time on the route, and arrived into Stratford 9 minutes late, which made my 10-minute connection at Stratford onto the 158 into a 1-minute connection, which, considering that, you know, I filmed my bit between buses, that wasn't happening. So we had half an hour I had half an hour in Stratford. For you, it was like 4.5 minutes of me talking. And you know, onto the 158, up to Chingford Mount. That went beautifully. DW 510 performed admirably, as those DWs always do. I love a DW. And from there it was on to the N26 down to Victoria, where I believe we arrived on time. It was a very quick run. There's a 170. I believe it's the only route left in central London to use a single-decker diesel bus, because there's a bridge in the Battersea area, I think, that you can't even get a single-decker electric bus down, let alone a double-decker of any kind, because it's just that low. So anyway, I'm now in Victoria, and I want to get food and go home, and edit this video and go to sleep, because I've got a busy day tomorrow. I've got Pride, so yeah. So I think all that remains to be said is I will see you on Monday from a City Bus Manager on the South Coast, on Thursday from City Bus Manager once again up in West Scotland, and next week from By Night. Bye bye.